Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. It's a big day. You know, we take free speech serious, and the men and women and the military allow me to shoot my big fat mouth off. And we always thank them for that. And this is Veterans Day, so if you see a vet, tell them thank you very much. I see them all the time when I'm traveling. And, yeah, it's very important. As a comic, nobody takes it more serious, the free speech thing, okay? And that's what they're doing, essentially. So it separates us from the third-world shitholes, as Trump would say. Real quick, I want to thank Nicholas Simone and John McMorty, who have joined at the veto level. It's the highest level here at the show. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate the support. We can use all of it. And, yes, that's money well spent, I'll tell you that much. Real quick, Kansas City Comedy Club, what a weekend. I had 3 shows. They were so close to being sold out, all 3. And I had a couple people come up. They heard me on Glenn Beck. We had a ton of people because of this show come out. Those are all good signs. That means we're doing something right. And special thanks to Jeff Hoffman and his friend who came. They drove, I don't know how many hours, 6 hours to see me, which is just so flattering. Anyways, thank you. Great club, by the way, Kansas City Comedy Club. Tomorrow on the show, remind me, I had hormone therapy. I had pellets injected into my ass. They cut an incision, they put pellets in, and I sprung a leak about an hour after the minor surgery. I'm going to show you pictures. I'm warning you now, they're graphic. They are fucking bloody. And later on today, Ted Nugent. I had Nugent called into the show, had a great conversation with him last week. So that's coming up in a few minutes. You won't want to miss that. The guy can talk, and I've loved him since I was a kid. He was one of my rock and roll idols. So don't miss that. What's going on in the news? Remember, I interviewed Donald Trump Jr., the phone interview last week, and I told him I thought Mayor Bloomberg was gonna, the guy who hates sugar and big sodas, and I thought I've been predicting this for a couple weeks now, that he's gonna jump into the race. It's not official yet, but he's running in the primary in Alabama. But here's what I said to Donald Trump Jr. First of all, I don't even think any of the people running on the Democrat side right now, I don't think they're going to be the nominee. Here's my prediction. It's either going to be Hillary jumping in with their fat ankles or Mayor Bloomberg. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they did this thing with Hillary. There were 6 donors that really want to recruit her. I'm like, 6 donors? That's going to be interesting. And I don't think Bloomberg wants it. I don't think he wants to go up against Trump one-on-one. I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. He's very accomplished. Yada yada. He doesn't want to go one-on-one against Trump and have the inevitable Jeb Bush low energy moment. I think he's got too much of an ego for that. So I don't see that ever happening. But you never know. But in the meantime, I'm very happy with the field that we're competing against. Watching the lunacy that is there. Joe Biden's the leader. Most days he doesn't remember what state he's in, but minor details. I think he'll do great one-on-one against Trump. This should be fun.
There you go. So, as he said, you never know. Well, I did know. Again, it's not official yet. He's still kind of a puss, but he's sitting there going, Jesus, Biden's out of his mind, and the rest of them are left-wing fucking kooks. I'm a moderate. I'm a billionaire. I can afford it. And so the last few days, it looks like he might do that, just like I said. ABC News told Bernie Sanders, the former New York City mayor, Michael Bloomberg may run for president because he did not like the current field of candidates. And the senator of Vermont responded, that is the arrogance of billionaires. I think he's just Jewish. And I mean, jealous, Jewish. Here's a Freudian slip for you. I think he's jealous because he's Jewish. He's not a billionaire. Nick, that's a horrible thing to say. Sanders went on to criticize the reported plans of the not yet announced billionaire to skip the first primaries. Here's Bernie.
It's too important. You see, when you're worth $50 billion, I guess you don't have to have town meetings. You don't have to talk to ordinary people. What you do is you take out, I guess, a couple of $1 billion and you buy the state of California. But I happen to believe the American people are sick and tired of the power and arrogance of a billionaire class which increasingly controls not only the economic life of this country, but the political life of this country. We are a democracy, and that means one person, one vote. You want to run for president? That's fine. Don't think you can simply buy an election by spending billions of dollars.
We're a democracy. Somebody tell you that, you fucking socialist/communist. That's right, we're a democracy. We don't want your fucking handouts and welfare programs either. The senator was joined by AOC, excuse me, campaigning with the candidate in Iowa. I think he might be banging that. I might think he might be hitting it. I'll tell you, she's attractive. I know she's 1/8 of my age. I don't give a shit. Unsurprisingly, she wasn't keen on the idea of a Bloomberg candidacy. First, she took the former mayor to task for his support of New York City's stop and frisk policies. Here she goes, playing the fucking race card, that have been criticized for being ineffective. Yeah, they're so ineffective that crime is at its lowest rates in New York City history. And she says they're ineffective, discriminatory, and racist. And she spoke about how the measures affected her personally. I don't think billionaires, she said, should be president right now. I don't think that's what the country needs, and I think it's going to take us further in the direction of wealth and political power concentrating at the very top of our country. And I think that our democracy should be for everyday people. But she gets into the whole thing about the stop and frisk and how racist was, and they stopped people like who looked like her. Yes, because that's where the crime is happening. It actually protected people. Crime went down, and the statistics to prove it. I was living in there. Crime went down in those neighborhoods where people live that look like you, okay? And a lot of them didn't have a problem with it. Jesus Christ, they have to play that race card, don't they? The reporter also asked if Congresswomen were old enough to run. Would Sanders ask her to join the ticket? AOC laughed, and Sanders showered her with praise and then said, if I'm in the White House, she'll play a very, very, very important role, no question, in one way or another. Healthcare and Medicare. Anyways, the Democrats aren't crazy about the idea as far as Bloomberg getting in. A new poll found Bloomberg would have 4% support and will be the most unpopular Democratic candidate if he were to enter the race. Bloomberg hasn't formally announced he's running, but he filed paperwork in Alabama. Can you imagine this? A Jew from New York running in Alabama. Oh, God. One of Bloomberg's advisors tweeted Bloomberg is considering a run because he's increasingly concerned the current field of candidates are a bunch of dumb fucking morons. And they're not well positioned to beat Trump. That's why they're trying to impeach him. We all know that, but we're waiting for Bloomberg.
Well,
speak up.
Waiting.
Bezos reportedly called Bloomberg months ago and asked if he would run. The former mayor told his fellow billionaire at the time he would not. But news of the call galvanized progressives in the race, particularly those who have made concerns about wealth inequality central. Here's the easy thing. Bezos is a multi-billionaire. He's the richest guy on the planet. He's calling Bloomberg, who's worth about $50 billion. And you can put this together, right? Because Bezos and guys like him don't want to see Elizabeth Warren win, who said she's going to tax the shit out of guys like Bezos. And Bloomberg's already made it clear in public that he doesn't like how Warren attacks billionaires in the top 1%. Anyways, Sanders echoed the sentiment, saying Jeff Bezos worth $150 billion, supporting Mike Bloomberg who's worth only $50 billion. That's a real class of solidarity. And Liz Warren jumped in, but I don't want to talk about her. She's fucking a waste of my time. Former Vice President Joe Biden.
What are we doing? What's going on right now?
The candidate whose campaign, perhaps most similar to what Bloomberg would be like, did not respond to the story, but he told reporters in New Hampshire Friday, I love Hawaii. No. That he was unperturbed by a Bloomberg run, adding, in terms of he's running because of me, the last polls I looked at, I'm pretty far ahead. Yeah, but you're also 2 minutes away from wearing an adult diaper, stupid. And Bloomberg is waiting for you to fall on your face. I think Bloomberg would be a threat. I got to be honest with you. He's got a ton of money, and he would, people are afraid because Trump's so off the rails. And this guy's he's a nanny. It will be my worst nightmare if this guy gets in. But anyways, before I get to the Ted Nugent interview, we want to thank mybookie.ag. Look, guys, we're halfway into the football season. There's no better time to bet. You like winning money? Who doesn't? I'll tell you where to put your money down at mybookie.ag. My gambling friends swear by this site. If you're trying to bet on the NFL, baseball, MMA, whatever, my bookie's got it. Not to mention the NHL and the NBA seasons have just ticked off. So MyBookie has faster payouts. It's got more lines than any other sports book, period. They got parlays. They even have teaser bets. If you're looking to bet a little and win a lot, MyBookie's got your back. They just revamped their website. It looks great. I encourage all of you to take a look at it. But here's the thing. Right now, double your first deposit right now. Use promo code NickD to get 100% bonus on your initial deposit up to $1,000. I mean, who's better than you? Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie.ag. And don't forget to use the promo code NickD when creating your account to claim the bonus. Here's why people love this site. You bet, you win, and you get paid quickly. So we thank them for sponsoring the show. Last week we had one of my rock and roll idols. Boy, when I was 15, 16, I had all this guy's music. Still do. He can play the hell out of a guitar. He's an outspoken advocate who leans right and absolutely a fascinating personality. The great Motor City Madman called into the show, Ted Nugent. Here's how it went.
Please welcome Ted Nugent. Ted, thanks for being so patient. It's hard to get good help these days.
My pleasure, Nick. No problem, man. I'm here in Michigan celebrating a wonderful fall, my 71st fall in the great swamps of Michigan, so I'm a happy son of a bitch, and I'm all yours.
How the fuck are you 71? That is not possible. I'm looking at a picture right now, and you look like you're 69.
Well, if I had a little bit of sleep, I'd be downright handsome. I'll tell you that right now. But during the rock and roll season and the hunting season, I've been clean and sober my entire life. No poisons in the sacred temple. And I've always eaten wild game, and it's got to be the most nutritious, healthiest, most delicious, and fun to shop for food in the world. So I've really taken good care of myself. That's how I was disciplined growing up in Detroit. And I thank my mom and dad and the world around us back then in the arsenal of democracy, Nick. I was born in the arsenal of democracy. How cool is that?
Let me tell you, Michigan is, I've done comedy a few times in Michigan, and first of all, the broads are very cute in Michigan. I don't know if it's that Nordic blood or whatever, but you really are like the all-American male. I saw you when I was.
If you look up the picture of shit kicker in the dictionary, you'll see me naked with two middle fingers on fire. I think that pretty as unambiguous as it gets. I'm the funniest black man since Richard Pryor's afro caught fire. So I think most people really appreciate me more than you can imagine.
Hey, I did. Let me tell you something. I know you have a little bit of damaged hearing, which makes sense. We have that in common. I went to a concert. I saw you circa 1977, Cape Cod Coliseum. A band called me and tucked it open for you.
Sure.
And the curtain's open. You're standing on a stacker like Marshall amps or whatever, 20 feet. You jump off. I still don't know how you didn't break your fucking knees or ankles. M80s
well,
went
Nick,
off.
I hope you enjoyed that, Nick, because I did that for thousands and thousands of concerts, and I never heard the word meniscus till a doctor told me I didn't have any anymore. So I hope you enjoyed the sacrifices I made for your entertainment value. But no, I had to have both of my knees replaced back a couple years ago because they were completely gone, and I attribute it to that insanity because people love my music. I play American soul music. I play defiant middle finger shit kicker, working hard, playing hard, Motor City roustabout, hell-raising music, and who doesn't like that? But I love my music more than anybody. So I really become possessed, obsessed, and just intoxicated by the drums and the bass and my incredible Gibson guitar tone from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I kind of lose my mind when I'm up there. I'm lucky I'm still alive, much less having my knees replaced.
I'm telling you, I left there. It was like the greatest show I'd ever seen. I go home. That night my ears are ringing. I'm like, well, that's normal. But now, fast forward 2 weeks later, they're still fucking ringing. I'm like, okay, what's going on? 3 weeks later, now only one's ringing. And to this day, when I talk to somebody on the phone, if they're talking too loud, I have to switch from my left to my right ear because of just what the doctor ordered.
Well, not only you, but you can imagine me. I was there with the howitzer. I mean, I literally, the only reason I can understand one syllable you're conveying to me, Nick, is because I have a miracle ear hearing aid in my right ear right now. But, you know, it's a combination. I always carried a gun, and I did a lot of shooting. I was always maximized my time in the great outdoors, and I like the aim small, miss small marksmanship, not just for hunting, but the discipline, the shot mantra, the samurai Bruce Lee ballistic ballet that is the shooting sports and marksmanship. So I always carried some pretty big guns, and whenever I'd see a coon or a possum or a skunk or a coyote, I mean, I'd just jump out of the truck, run to the swamp, and I'd start shooting, and I never wore hearing protection. And so it's a combination of Gibson guitars and Smith & Wesson hearing damage. But with a miracle ear, I can still hear clearly. I mean, I'm talking to you, and you mumble.
Yes, I do mumble. Well, I'm talking my rock and roll hero here. But let me ask you about that, Ted. You're a big hunter. I own a couple of guns. I didn't until I got on Twitter, and I had to fucking get guns to protect myself. So I'm shooting a different kind of rascal. But how do you feel about, I see these big game hunters, like these people, they go on safaris and shoot African elephants. What is that about? I could walk up to an elephant and punch it in the face. There's no sport in that, right?
Boy, Nick, I'm glad you asked that. Hang on one second. Entertain the people for 5 seconds. I'm going to shut the bacon off.
Venison.
Literally, I just shut the bacon off. But here, it's a great sequel. It's a great, transition into your question.
Yeah.
Nick, I want you to take a deep breath. I want everybody listening to take a deep breath and listen to me. I've been a hunter my whole life. I've spent many, many years in Africa with the villagers, with the Aboriginal people, with the African citizens. Please make a note. You have to reduce the elephant population, the rhino population, the giraffe, the zebra, the kudu, the gemsbok, the warthog, the inyala. All those wildlife species are African deer. There is a finite science-based carrying capacity to any habitat on planet Earth. And most emphatically, when you don't allow the regulated hunting of elephant particularly, and all those animals, then there's no money from the license sales and the tips and the business platform. There's no money to pay for game wardens to stop the indiscriminate, unregulated slaughter. Nick, you have to harvest the surplus every year. Is a value commodity that people are willing to pay to do. And I got to tell you, when I killed my elephants, when my friends killed their elephants or the lion or the leopard, that meat is sacred to those villagers. They want that meat. And if we didn't pay ridiculous amounts of monies to kill those elephants and those zebras and those, if we didn't pay that money, they would kill them indiscriminately and they'd kill each other to get the meat. Do not be so outrageous and pompous in America to think somebody in Detroit can dictate wildlife policy in Zimbabwe. Nobody in Africa is belligerent enough to think that they can tell us how to manage our deer. The animals have to be maintained as an asset in the asset column so that they're valuable, the people get the revenues and the precious protein. I mean, it's when we kill an elephant, you can't find bloody sand within 5 hours. Those natives use everything from that elephant, and by killing that surplus percentage of elephants, or it doesn't matter, giraffe is just a long-necked deer. It's meat. They use the skins, they use the bone, they use the sinew, they use the hoofs, they use the eyeballs. Nick, it's a renewable resource, and I wish people in America would shut the fuck up and let Native Africans manage their wildlife in the asset column instead of some asshole like Pam Anderson trying to save Bambi, and then all of a sudden it's a liability. If you're against hunting in Africa, fuck you.
Okay, so you're saying we have to you have to kill those animals to conserve those animals. When I see,
Absolutely, you have to make room in finite habitat
Yes.
for next year's production. They're going to have babies, Nick, but the ground is not going to expand. Surely you can grasp that.
are we talking about the elephants or the Africans as far as babies?
I'm talking about everything, quite honestly. That's why people die.
So when I see a story, and again, I'm not taking a side either way here. I fucking used to hunt
Well, if you're
pheasant.
smart, you'll take my. If you're smart, you'll take my side. But go
Of
ahead.
course, I'm going to take your side. You know, 12 times more about it. So these stories I see when these people just like kill these elephants just for their tusks.
No, they don't. No, there's no such thing.
So that's propaganda.
The only place, Nick, the only place where elephants are killed for their tusks
Yes.
are where hunting has been banned, and there's no hunting dollars
okay.
to hire game wardens.
I get you. Now I get you. All right.
When we kill an elephant with a license, just like when we kill a deer with a license,
Yep.
that meat, Nick, those native villages, they need that meat. They eat every scrap. I swear to God, they use the tail, they use the ears, they use the toenails, man. They use it all. They for tools and medicine and weapons and food and shelter and clothing.
Well, it's not working out for them because they're still 100 years behind.
Well, yeah, but that's because they haven't got freedom. They haven't got a constitution or a Bill of Rights, so there's still tyranny over there. That's the problem.
Perfect segue into my next question. I'm going to give you a hypothetical. You're hunting, and you're out there with your bow and arrow. You're in the woods. You see a 10-point buck, but then you look to your left and you see Beto O'Rourke. Who do you shoot?
I wouldn't waste an arrow on goofball Beto, you know what I mean? I'd just get out of my tree stand and punch the shit out of the son of a bitch for being such a treasonous traitor and anti-American dirtbag who hates everything about America, and then he wants to somehow lead America so we can turn into Venezuela. Hey, Beto, fuck you!
Fucking men. This Pete Buttigieg, explain this to me. This guy, he saw action. He's a veteran in Iraq and whatnot. How can he have, Ted, the political views that he does after be a veteran and seeing action? Square that up for me. You're way smarter than me. Please fucking explain that to me.
Well, Nick, you're asking a question that mystifies the human mind. And guys like Bruce Springsteen and these guys that condemn the very system by which they've had a successful life. How do you do that? How do you see a system that has provided the greatest quality of life in the history of the world and then run a campaign that would destroy it? The work ethic, the fact that we don't want free stuff because free stuff makes you stupid and weak. And the reason people want to come to America is because we busted our ass, we earned our own way, we live within our means, we save for a rainy day, and we all give to the needy and help out the truly needy when we witness the needy, instead of somebody like Beto O'Rourke telling us that his people need a handout when they claim disability before they go water skiing. I mean, we could go into the gory minutia of the disconnect and the treason of the left, and that they don't believe that America needs secure borders. Let me put it real clearly, Buttigieg. If you don't believe America needs secure borders, you are the enemy of America.
Exactly right. You have locks on your doors for a reason. The whole socialist, I just read 70% of millennials don't have a problem with socialism. What this generation needs, Ted, is another Ted Nugent for them.
Well, if you met my band, my crew, I think you figured me out. I'm pretty easy to figure out. I get up early, I bust my ass, I put my heart and soul into being the best that I can be. I force myself to be in the asset column for my family, my neighborhood, my community, my state, my country, planet Earth, and the environment. Ted Nugent is in the asset column of the world. I have planted more trees with these Motor City Madman greasy soul music fingers than anybody you will ever interview. I plant thousands of trees almost every year since 1970. I have created forests which help clean air, soil, and water. I have spent gazillions of dollars with conservation charities and hunting licenses and supplies and sporting goods that we tax ourselves to go for game departments, to go for the regulation enforcement so that wildlife habitat is valuable, and that wildlife habitat is where quality air, soil, and water comes from. The people should just be getting on, they should genuflect and say, thank you, Uncle Ted, for making life worthwhile. So when you have people that attack the fundamentals that provided them the quality of life, I guess you just have to kind of furrow your brow, momentarily wince, and then charge forth doing good anyway. Sometimes you give the world the best you got, you get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you've got anyway. That's the mantra for the Nugent family, everybody I hang with, my band, my crew, my management, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, my children, my grandchildren. Everybody I know makes sacrifices and busts their ass to be in the asset column so that they can give instead of take. That's why I'm a radical.
What do you say, back to the guns and hunting, what would you say if a Fed knocks on your door as Beta was having a wet dream, even though he's done, but there's still people who believe the horseshit he believes in. What would you do if a federale knocked on your door and tried, asked you to hand your guns over to? How would you handle that situation?
Well, if it was a federale, I'd shoot him in the forehead, because we all know that the federales are basically the drug cartel. The entire Mexican government is the drug cartel. The Mexican army is the drug cartel.
Oh, I didn't mean federale. I mean a federal agent from the United States
Well,
government.
one of my federal agents, they'd probably call me ahead of time, and we'd sit down and have a cold Werner's ginger ale and discuss how indecent, how immoral, how constitutional oath violating such a decree is. And then that federal agent and I would go to their boss and we'd fix him.
I think of you when I watch, like, after a mass shooting that we've had many over a few years, and then all this hyperbole and all this overreaction, and I think of guys like you. Are you still on the directors board of the NRA?
I am. I've been on the board of the National Rifle Association, the greatest family grassroots freedom civil rights organization in the history of the world, for over 28 years, with the highest votes except for Charlton Heston and I think Ollie North. But yeah, the people believe in me because I'm an absolutist. I know that keep means it's mine, you can't have it. Bear means I have a couple on me right now and they're loaded. Fuck you.
You must lose your mind when you're listening to all this pablum after these mass shootings that don't occur as much as the media would like you to believe. But the first thing they want to do, what don't they understand? It's not the fucking weapon, it's the person. I mean,
well, Nick, when I was growing up, here it is in a nutshell, and I have all the evidence to support what I'm about to say. The other side doesn't have any evidence; they just got, comfortably numb, influenced dreams. Here's the evidence. When I was growing up, we had unlimited access to unlimited firepower. Keep those words in mind. When I was growing up, you could go to Montgomery Ward's and buy a machine gun. When I was growing up, everybody brought their guns to school during the hunting season, or maybe they're just going plinking. When I was growing up, we had unlimited access to unlimited firearms. 0 mass shootings. 0. But we also had this little thing, very controversial. It's called discipline. We also had a very controversial thing going on called respect for life. We also had this little crazy idea back when I was growing up that you actually cared about your fellow man, and you were disciplined by parents and school and society in general as a culture that respected life and respected law and order. That's when I was growing up. Now, you have the most restricted commodity this side of plutonium You have to wait to get a gun. You have to go through an FBI background check to get a gun. You have to limited magazine capacity, limited types of firearms, limited rate of fire, limited type bullets. You can't have hollow points in New Jersey. You can't buy ammunition in LA. So it's the most restricted commodity this side of weapons plutonium. And now we have mass shootings. Let me tell you the difference. It's not a hardware issue. It's a heartware issue. Back when I was growing up, we cared. Today, with the dumbing down of America by an academia who is more in line with Mao Zedong than the Constitution, you have people that don't give a shit. And they have glaring threats in every instance. I've studied every mass shooting. Everybody knew that goofball was going to start shooting people. Everybody knew that asshole 1 and asshole 2 were making pipe bombs in their garage that their mom and dad walked by every night for 3 years and didn't say anything because they didn't want to hurt little Johnny's feelings. My dad would have ripped my head off and shit down my neck. Nick, are you with me?
I'm talking to Donald Trump, and yes, I'm with you 100%. I think there's such an easy solution as far as the school shootings that you put somebody out front with a gun and you add extra exit doors in the classroom for them to get out. But that's just me. Let me ask you. You're saying nobody cares about their neighbor anymore. This is all true, and it's left-wing ideology, and would push God. Not that I'm a religious person, but would push God on the public square. How do we change all that? The fucking libs have their grasp in academia and Hollywood. How do we turn all this around, Ted Nugent?
Well, Nick, it's so simple. It's stupid. Thank God we have a president that is as close to Ted Nugent as you'll ever get in politics.
Absolutely.
We have a shit kicker crowbar fan in the White House. This guy is about truth, logic, common sense, goodwill, decency, work ethic, and priorities. America first. We should negotiate all contracts with everyone on the globe that benefits America first. We need to drain the swamp and get rid of the J. Edgar Hoover fan club and Jim Comey and all these turncoats from the CIA and these America haters that have infested our government forever. And I'm pretty good expressing myself, but I am helpless to adequately describe my respect, reverence, and love for President Donald J. Trump. This guy is fixing America, draining the swamp, and has reinstituted the battle cry, America first. We love America. The rest of the world can kiss my ass. It's so beautiful I can hardly stand it. Sometimes I get naked and just dance the Wango Tango with a Werner ginger ale splashed on my balls because this guy is so good at what he does.
He really is. I'm glad you segued right into him because that's where I was going. This guy, like you said, work ethic is unbelievable. Very, very smart. But he's, what's the word I'm looking for? He has a lot in common with you. No drugs, no alcohol. Is he the greatest president? Let me ask you, Ted, is he the greatest president of your lifetime? Because he is in mine, in my opinion.
I believe he's the greatest president since George Washington.
Now, who's that again? I went to a liberal college.
You know, and by the way, if the liberals want to come, they come to my Facebook. I'm on my Facebook multiple times every day. And I've always said this, and I challenge anybody, anywhere, anytime, anyhow, to debate me. Because if you come up and try to challenge my addiction to truth, logic, common sense, and the evidence to support everything I stand for, I will gleefully and readily eat your family tree and shit sawdust in your face because the Ted Nugent detractors got nothing. They are consumed by hate and lies, and I like to dance on their empty skulls with my deer boots and then clean the guts off the cleats later on to feed to my hunting dogs. I was wondering if anybody heard my new song called Eat Shit and Die. Are you with me, Nick?
You shit me. I've been with you since 1976 when I was 14 years old.
But the beautiful thing is everything I'm saying right now, as great as Donald Trump is, he really wants to talk like I do. He really wants to say these things, but he's got to have some element of decorum. Me, I don't.
Yeah, me either as a comic. And I cherish the First Amendment, and you do, obviously, because you're an artist. And I don't take it for granted 1 second. It's what I love most about stand-up comedy. And I love that my art form is at the center every time there's a debate about, was that too mean? Did they go over the line? I love that comics are at the center of this shit. My friend Dave Chappelle, who's one of the greatest comics ever, he's getting all the credit, Ted, for what I've been doing as a fucking white guy since
That's how that works. That's
1995. Help me out with that one.
Well, I've been such a lucky guy. My God, I got to hunt with Fred Bear. I got to race with Parnelli Jones and Mickey Thompson. I played bass guitar for Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. Nick, are you fucking
Did you really?
I married Ted Nugent. I opened up for the Supremes and the Bull Brummels at Cobo Hall in 1963.
Holy shit.
I mean, I've literally been to the mountaintop of every dream a rock and roller and a horsepower guy and an American dreamer could have. But let me tell you, equal to all those amazing gifts that I was given, I got to hang out at the Comedy Store in L.A. with Sam Kinison, Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, and Rodney Dangerfield, and don't underestimate Bruce Willis. He's a funny son of a
I thought you said you don't do drugs.
I got to hang. Well, they were all hired. Shit. I was the only guy there who was taking care of business. Believe me. But I'm a funny guy too. I mean, I'm funnier than all of them because my brain works without the drugs. And they were all phenomenal talents. They were gifted superhumans, and they were great people. They were great positive people. But let me tell you, what you're doing as a comedian, I mean, I'm friends with those guys. They were far left, most of them. Sam Kinison was with me in most stuff, and Bruce Willis was. But the rest of them were, I mean, George Lopez is a dear friend of mine. And this guy is basically, a reject from the Mao Zedong school of Venezuela. But he's a good man. He has a work ethic. He has priorities. He's a conscientious person, but he thinks he's a liberal, but I'm trying to, wake him up that he's not really, because liberals don't have the work ethic that he has. Now, Bill Maher has a great work ethic, and he's off the fucking charts. But I consider him a friend. I mean, we don't beat each other up. We have dialogue, and when you're comfortably numb, you kind of lose track with the dialogue when you're hanging out with Ted Nugent. I'm a little too fast for these people.
Right.
But I'm respectful when they stumble, and I even help mop up the spittle in the corner of their mouth. Both literally and figuratively, by the way. So yes, First Amendment and opinions matter, but when it gets so vile and obscene that you don't believe your country needs to be secure, that you don't know the difference between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants, when you believe that sanctuary cities giving sanctuary to MS-13 is a reasonable policy, when you are so out of your cotton-picking mind that you know gun-free zones are where the most innocent lives are slaughtered, and you want more of them? You don't believe in any, you want abortion legal, and then you claim it's your woman's body, she has rights over her body. Even after the baby's out of the body, they get to kill him? Really? You gotta be fucking kidding me. These people are gone. It's Planet of the Cuckoo's Nest. It's Clockwork Dayglow Pink. It's like Twilight Zone on acid. So I just keep fighting. I keep standing up with truth, logic, and common sense, and thank God my president does the same. And there's a lot of conservatives out there like yourself. Well, I don't know if you're conservative or not, but you obviously adhere to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule, goodwill, decency, positive energy and spirit, more giving than taking. I mean, that's the mantra of conservatives.
I got to be honest, I'm a bit of a selfish cocksucker, but yes, I stand for all those, and I just can't believe, like you said, we are at this point where people believe in sanctuary cities and giving free health care and tuition to people who are here illegally. It just, I see Ilhan Omar, she's out there, now she's on Bernie Sanders' side, saying Bernie Sanders will end Western imperialism. this broad with the hijab on her head, 18 years after the worst attack on our country. How do they get elected, Ted? And this is in Minnesota, Minnesota, the heart of the country. How does that happen 18 years after 9/11? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Well, here's a perfect example of the left. They want to eliminate the very foundation of the quality of life that capitalism brings from being compensated based on talent, sacrifice, and work ethic, and ideas that you can provide services and goods and supplies to people who want to purchase them. I mean, duh. Like, duh. But then you have people who want to eliminate the system by which they've enriched themselves. Then you have someone like this Omar, good-looking bitch, but dumber than a rock. If she was successful in implementing her agenda, she couldn't be in the position she's in.
Right.
And all you have to know about them is that they believe in genital mutilation. Fuck you!
Look, when I was doing coke back, I mutilated a few genitals, but not on purpose. It was dark, and I don't know what I was doing.
Well, Nick, I appreciate you opening up an uninhibited, total First Amendment opportunity here. I consider this the Nick and Ted truth, logic, common sense, we the people, shit kicker campfire. So I dearly appreciate that, and I'm glad that you're out there doing what you do. I do media almost every day. I mean, in between gutting my deer, and I don't run into any resistance out there. I mean, they do it behind closed doors.
Right.
They're scared to death of me because they know they can't debate me. They can't debate me. What are you going to tell me that genital mutilation is something we should aspire to?
Right.
Jeez, oh God. So thank you for doing what you do, because you have a little bit more creative license as a comedian. That's why Bill Maher gets away with the stupidity that he spews. Whenever he wants to make some asinine anti-American joke, he covers it and claims that it's comedy, and he has the right to do so, but he actually believes in that bullshit.
Yeah, that's what scares me. And he gets away with it because, let's be honest, his people run the business. And
it's Planet of the Cuckoo's Nest. But I got to tell you, on a positive note, Nick, I had the greatest tour of my life. My band, Jason Hartless on drums, 23-year-old Animal from Detroit, and Greg Smith on bass guitar. I had the greatest tour, the greatest crew, the greatest music, the greatest audiences. My guitar tone was absolutely out of body, and now I'm having the greatest hunting season of my life. There's turkeys and deer, and there's beaver, and there's coons and possums and skunks and squirrels and doves and pheasants and ducks and geese. My dogs are drunk on gut piles. I'm having a real life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness every day of my life because I prioritize. I give more than I take, and I work my ass off even at 71 years
well,
of
there's
age.
no doubt about that. You just completed your 59th tour. And,
I did
6,756 live concerts. I was at number 46, and my ears are still...
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
No, seriously, you're an inspiration. You were when I was a kid, and as I followed you as you got older with your politics, I don't mean to kiss too much ass, but seriously, you're an inspiration. Let me ask you real quick. Do you have a son named Rocco?
I do. Rocco Winchester Nugent, a great, great man.
Yeah, well, do you know, that's my middle name, and my grandfather's first name. What do you have, Italian in you that I don't know about?
No, actually, we were hunting in Africa. And the owner of the ranch that we were hunting on, his name was Rocco Gioia. And because Rocco was born just before we returned to his ranch, we loved the name Rocco. I didn't really think of it as an ethnic angle. I just liked the sound of it. Like his middle name is Winchester. I mean, why not?
Rocco Winchester Nugent.
Yeah, you got my oldest boy is Theodore Fleetwood Nugent because I was driving a Cadillac at the time.
This has been unbelievable. I can't thank you enough for doing this. Seriously, I followed your career and start when I was 15. Double Live Gonzo. I played that till the needle broke.
Monster.
The record player. And
Monster.
Unbelievable. As good as it gets. They say greatest guitar player in Detroit's history. How about on the planet? And I'm not.
Well, I'm my favorite guitar player. I like to milk blood and guts out of my Gibson Birdland. And this year, I got a studio in my barn here and a bunch of guitars and amplifiers, and I'm always dicking around and experimenting because even at 71, I crave making this Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis music more than ever. And with my band, with Greg and Jason, God almighty, we go places that God hasn't authorized yet. In fact, I'm going to have Linda send you a new jam I just did with the great Carmine Appice on drums, Tony Franklin on bass, and Kelly Keeling on vocals, a song called Days or Nights. And you could play it on your show. It is the ultimate firestorm, all-American, shit-kicker, roustabout, hell-raising, Motor City firestorm of music you've ever heard. And I love the music now more than ever. I love the silence of my duck blind and my tree stand. I love America. I love freedom. And I will never, ever rest until we get this swamp drained and we get the criminals out of our government. And I help Donald Trump every way I can every day.
Amen. And one confession before I let you go. I use the intro to Stranglehold every time I'm introduced at a comedy venue to bring me on. Do I owe you any money?
I would. I'd use that son of a bitch.
When did you come up with that riff?
That pretty much establishes that if you are capable, you will get laid.
Exactly. Ted, it's been a pleasure. I can't thank you enough for doing this, man. And I want to come see your band live when I have time.
You got to do it, Nick. The band is so good. It's like samurai music, man. It's just phenomenal. But thank you very much. And you can use Stranglehold. I would use our Wang Dang Sweet Poontang on occasion too, just to keep things lively.
That'll do. All right, Ted. Thank you so much.
All right, Nick, live it up, man. God bless America. God bless the first responders. God bless the U.S. military. And God bless the gut pile orgy.
Amen. And God bless the great Ted Nugent.
Great Ted Nugent. I can't thank you so much for doing that. And that is it for today. We're keeping the show tight. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow when I talk about having hormone replacement and I provide pictures of what happened. Remember, you guys think it, I will say it. You're very welcome. And we will see you on Patreon. Take care.